Hey guys, how's it going today? Back again, making another video because I tried to make a video yesterday. It was like 21 minutes long and it was using a new video maker app that I don't know nothing about, and I tried to upload it, it wouldn't work. Okay, so here I am trying to make the same video today with my regular camera. So bear with me. I'm just one guy. I don't rehearse none of this stuff. I don't write nothing down. It's just going off the top of my head to the best of my ability and how I can figure out how to do it. So if you don't like it, find a different video to watch, because to me it's about the message and what I'm talking about. It's not about the quality. Anyway, just out here walking in the woods again, you know, out on our property. There's the Big Logan. There's the big island back there. Those trees on the other side. Yeah, we got a big island on our property. We got a little island. It's a wonderful place. I love it. I'm so grateful for what we have out here. Just a peaceful place. It's like sanctuary, man. You know, it's holy ground out here. It's untouched. You know, we keep it clean, pick up any garbage, take care of it. You know, it's undisturbed. Other than this road that I'm walking on, because we got a couple fields back here that we cut for hay in the summertime, so we got a road going back to it. Anyway, I just want to kind of talk about my story and my recovery story and where I came from a little bit. I grew up in a house with alcoholism and drug addiction, domestic abuse, physical abuse. As a child, I experienced some sexual abuse a couple different times from a couple different people, which later, when I was a teenager, right before I turned into an adult, got me into trouble because I had weird beliefs about sex and had a sex addiction as well, because I got into pornography when I was at an early age. So I ended up making a mistake in my life that I still have to I still have consequences for. I have to give my address and register because I molested my younger cousin when I was 17, which landed me in prison. Did about 3.5 years, 4 years in prison on the installment plan. You know, 8 months here, 3 months there, probation violations, parole violations for drug use. So I've done my time. I made a mistake and I learned from it, and fueled a lot of my drug use and a lot of my depression and drinking, because I felt like I didn't deserve to have a good life. I felt like I wouldn't ever have a family of my own, and went through a lot of losses of friendships, and just felt like a shitty person, you know, that God couldn't forgive me and that I couldn't be happy or have a normal life like other people. I know differently now. I have a wife and I have 3 kids of my own, you know, 25 years later. But anyways, so yeah, I screwed up a lot of things in my life because of mistakes I made. And there, you know, I tried to get sober a couple different times. I went to 2 different treatments when I was locked up. Just kind of blew it off the first time, and got it somewhat the second time. Got out from prison, stayed sober off everything for about 3 years. Went to AA meetings, stuff like that. Never really took it seriously, but I managed to stay sober for a few years. So then after that, I got into a bad relationship that was just based that started out with partying and doing methamphetamines and turned into a relationship based off of that, based off of sex and drugs, basically. And well, that fell apart in a bad way. I ended up staying up for like 5 days straight with no sleep. Ended up in the psych ward for 72 hours on a suicide watch. And got out. God took methamphetamine from me that time. I didn't even know that that's what happened, but for some reason I got out, didn't want to do drugs anymore. It was just taken from me. I didn't go to treatment or nothing, just no withdrawals, no cravings, no thoughts, just didn't want to do it anymore. But I hadn't known at the time that God took them from me and that God removed the drug out of my life. And then things went good for a little while again. And then I ended up homeless. So got a parole violation. Went back to jail for 60 days and lost my place to stay, lost my job, got out, didn't have anywhere to go. Ended up homeless. It was wintertime in Minneapolis. You know, below zero outside, sleeping on people's couches, sleeping on buses when I couldn't find a couch to stay on, digging pizza out of dumpsters, stealing sandwiches from gas stations so I had food, you know. Then I ended up finding a job and a place to stay, and things turned around again for a little while. Then me and my dad ended up working with one of his friends one summer, mowing lawns. And my dad made it about 2 weeks, and then he quit. Well, then the guy we were working for one morning, he's like, "You ever smoked that crack cocaine?" And I said, "Yeah." Well, then needless to say, that ended up being a summer-long crack cocaine addiction. And I'm walking the streets, nowhere to go again, staying in hotels, smoking crack with women I don't really know. And, you know, one day I'm walking down the street and I'm thinking to myself, you know, I can't live like this anymore. Like this ain't what I want my life to be. Like, what am I doing? And shortly after I was having that conversation with myself, I ran into some random person that invited me to a free barbecue. So I went. Come to find out that it was a Christian-based halfway house, and they invited me to get baptized. So I got baptized. Well, after that, I went back to stay with my dad after that barbecue, and God removed crack cocaine from my life. And I didn't really know that's what happened at the time, but I didn't go to treatment. I'd been smoking crack cocaine every day all summer long. No withdrawals, no cravings, no nothing. Okay, so that's the second time that God removed drugs from my life. And then everything started going okay again for a while. But then I got another probation violation and ended up going back to prison for a year because I had a year hanging over my head left over. So I went and finished the rest of my time, got out, ended up on intensive supervised release where I could only leave my house to go to work. Well, I had a place to live, so when I got out, everything was pretty good. I found a job, had a place to stay, and then I met my wife, who I'm with now. And she had a daughter that was 8 years old when I met her, and it was like a dream come true. I didn't really think that I would ever meet somebody that I could have a family with, because I didn't think I was good enough for it. You know, I didn't think I deserved to have a family. And so we were together for a while, about 8 years into our marriage. We got 3 kids by then. I got 2 boys and our daughter that we shared from her last marriage, and started doing Adderalls. before that, no wait, I got to back up, because before that, my brother was staying with us, and he was a really bad alcoholic. I started drinking every day, drinking with my brother every day, to the point where I had to tell him he had to move out, because I couldn't be drinking like that all the time anymore, and I didn't want him just laying on my couch not doing nothing with his life, so I kicked him out. And then I'm still kind of drinking, not as bad because he's not there anymore, but I was still drinking after he left. And one of our family members offered us some Adderall, so we started doing Adderall together. Well, the Adderall turned into methamphetamine use, because one of our other family members showed up with some methamphetamine one day, and that turned into a 3.5 year long hellish nightmare, okay, that I didn't know how I was going to get out of. And about a year into the meth use, my brother died in a car accident, and it was something that I didn't know how to handle and didn't want to feel, so I just dove into my meth use even harder, because now my brother was dead and I was depressed from that, and I had a good excuse why I could just sit in my room and get high all day. And my wife let me, because I was telling everybody that I didn't want to have nothing to do with anybody, because my brother died, and that's one of the things about methamphetamine, is it's really good at blocking out your feelings. So I used it for that for quite some time, and all that heavy meth use just led to 3.5 years of hell and destroying the good things in my life. Like, I didn't have any ambition. All I want to do was sit in my room. I didn't spend no time with my kids or my family. The only time I would come out is to go get more meth, and my wife was okay with me doing that, because she was getting high right along with me. So, as long as I was happy and I was going and getting more drugs, everything was okay. So she spent time with the kids and handled everything while I was high. And finally got to the point where we just hated each other, and I was getting suicidal again and feeling like crap about my life and who I was. And one day I finally decided I can't do this anymore. And I walked out of the house, went off alone by myself in the yard, and I got down on my knees and I talked to God. And I said, God, I can't do this anymore. Like, I don't want my life to be this way. You gotta help me. I don't know how I'm gonna quit. And I cried and was on my knees crying to God. And I just all of a sudden had this really good feeling like everything was gonna be okay. Like I could get off the drugs and everything would be okay. And within 24 hours, I didn't have any withdrawals, any cravings, any thoughts about doing it, and got sober with no treatment again. And this time it was different, because this time I knew that God did it for me. I knew that God removed the drugs from my life. And then I thought back to the other times that I did hard drugs and didn't need treatment and quit. And I put two and two together and realized that God was real, and that God loved me, and that I'm forgiven, and that I can be sober and I can have a happy life and be happy again. And that's pretty much my story. I mean, I got sober this time. Oh, and then 5 months after being sober, I had what the doctors labeled as a delayed meth psychosis, where I pretty much lost my shit and reality crumbled and my ego was shattered and had to be rebuilt. Okay, and I'm not going to get into the details of it. It was just crazy. Okay, if anybody knows anything about psychosis, you know what I'm talking about. And basically I ended up assaulting my wife and shoving my daughter on the ground, tried to steal a cop car. thought there were hidden cameras watching me everywhere. I was hearing eagle sounds and seeing repeating numbers everywhere, like really bad. Like I still see the repeating numbers and synchronicities, but this was on a whole nother level, okay? And those aren't a bad thing, but if you latch onto them and focus on them too much, you'll start seeing them everywhere in everything, okay? And come to find out, I went to jail for 5 days, and while I was in jail, the first couple days I was still going nuts, but I got to the point again where I had to talk to God, because I was like, God, my life has been going so good, and I'm sober, and everything's great. Why did this happen? Like, I don't want to be here. Why am I here, God? And after I had that talk with God, all of a sudden everything went back to normal, and I wasn't losing my shit anymore, and I got out of jail and basically had to relearn everything and rebuild a whole new character, because I had literally shattered my ego, and everything that I was had crumbled, and now I had to rebuild it. And then here's another part of my life that I'm going to share with everybody, is that when I got home, God's archangels started talking to me through my wife, and I thought I was like crazy. I didn't know what was going on at first, but after I realized that it was real, they started teaching me, and they've been teaching me how to, you know, be a good person, and how to treat people, and how to look at life, and they helped me rebuild this new person that you see now. This person that you see in these videos and who I am now was thanks to God sending his angels to teach me. And you know, they when they first started talking to me, they told me that it's time, that they're coming back to teach humanity again like they did before, and that they're here to talk to me and teach me how to be what God wanted me to be, what God intended for me to be originally. And ever since then, it's just been awesome. You know, I can't complain about my life. I'm look at where I'm at. I've been walking all this time, and now we're in the back field. This is the field that road's for. That's what we use that road behind me to get to, is to cut hay out here in these fields back here. There's the Logan over there. That's the big Logan. If I go that way, over there we get to the Mississippi River. But anyways, I just wanted to share, you know, some of my story. You know, I couldn't get into all the details, and I left some of it out because I don't have enough time or space on my phone to tell it all. But you know, God's done an amazing thing for me, and I'm very grateful and thankful. And I just come on here and make these videos because I want to share it with everybody else. You know, that's something that was difficult when I first realized that God was in my life and that his angels were teaching me, was that I had this new excitement for life and this new appreciation for life and looking at everything with new eyes, and I wanted to give it to other people. Like, and you can't just give it to other people. You know, all I can do is get on here and talk about it in the hopes that it gets to the right people, and the people that are ready to hear it and know it find my videos, because we're all on our own path, and none of us can shake people awake. You can't slap people across the face, tell them to wake up and realize that God's in their life and God loves them. It just don't work like that. And it's hard to deal with at first, because you want everybody to know that God is real. You want everybody to be happy and know they're forgiven. And it just doesn't work that way. When people are ready to accept God and ready to move forward from where they're at and become this new person and change their life, then they're ready to do it. But if they're not, they're just going to look at you like you're nuts and just blow off everything that you say to them. And it's a sad, depressing thing when you first realize it. that you can't just put it in your hand and give it to people. So that's what I'm doing this for. That's why I want to share my story. Is I'm doing these videos to try and share some of the things that I've learned and maybe reach people that need to hear it. So if you could like and share and subscribe and get this spread around to people that are in addiction and recovery and need this message of hope, I would really appreciate that if you could do it. And thank you for watching my video. That's it for now.